Come on in. It's my studio. You're late, by the way. I wanted to show you guys a little bit about my studio today, some of what I do in here, and then also my mom's going to come by and I'm going to have a chat with her. We're going to sit down and talk about all things life. I spend a lot of time in here, so I've pretty much whittled most of my stuff down to just a handful of things. You got to have some good preamps. I mostly always use this Focusrite Red, and then I use these Vintex a lot. I kind of go back and forth between these, but I do like the Reds. I got the Manley Vox box here, which is nice. I don't really use it for my vocal, but I do plug in direct with it, and it sounds nice. And I got a Symphony I/O. And pretty much my whole studio, aside from the speakers and the monitor, is right here. As far as instrumentation goes, I use very few things. I have my trusty Taylor here, which I've had for a long time. This was actually my brother Brody's guitar. I ended up borrowing this from him, and I've been playing it now for a long time, and he's never asked for it back. So hopefully he never does, because this has become like my favorite guitar. I have this very old baritone ukulele that I like to work with a lot. I think this thing's from the 40s. It kind of replaces what a nylon guitar would be, but with a little bit more soul. And then I have lately been recording with this guy a lot, which is a rubber bridge guitar. So it's very, very dead. Kind of dead sounding, not a lot of sustain. I have a mandola, which I just adore. This is one of my favorite instruments. When I was young, I spent a lot of time in Nashville. My mom was on a show called Hee Haw. This kind of an instrument, a mandolin or a mandola, this kind of sound just hits home with me for some reason. I don't know why. So I try to incorporate it into a lot of the things that I do. The art on the wall, my sister-in-law, she's a fantastic artist, and so we had a really fun afternoon experimenting, and we created some stuff. In the past I've had studios that were bigger. While that was great, and I do miss certain aspects of it, having a space like this, one-room recording, something simple, it forces you to approach music and creation differently. So the one-room thing I really like. You just cannot replace, what is that, an 8x8 for bass. I've just always loved the way they sound. I've dragged this thing around the country many times. And then, of course, I've got a popcorn machine in here. My daughter and I like to come in here and watch some of her favorite movies and eat popcorn. Which brings us to kind of what's going on today. This isn't just a studio tour. Part of what I wanted to do was invite my mom over so that her and I could sit down and kind of have a talk. There was a video recently with my dad, and we got to sit down, but I really wanted to do the same thing with my mom, so that her and I have a chance to sit down and just share a little insight about life. Well, we are here with my mother now. She brought her resume, but
It was too long.
I lost it.
Too long. I've lived a long time.
Yes, but she's quite an accomplished singer, songwriter. Are you a singer?
No.
She's a songwriter. She's quite an accomplished songwriter. And
I sing in the shower.
The most devoted mother that you could ever ask for.
Thank you.
I owe her my life, quite literally and figuratively.
That's true.
And so, yeah, we are here with my mother, Linda Thompson.
Thank you, honey. Who has a memoir.
Oh, God, here we go. This is insane! Right off the bat.
It's a mother's role in life to buffet her children's spirits and to help them to believe in themselves.
Would you say that that's one thing that you brought to parenting, that's something that you believe in, that you're supposed to empower your kids and make them feel good and special?
Absolutely. I just think that you can't spoil them with too much love. And it's such an amazing foundation from which to spring forth into life. You have to have that stability and that security, knowing beyond any shadow of a doubt that at least one person in this world has your back, believes in you, sees the best in you, and believes the best for your future.
When I would run into people that knew you, that were of your generation, your age group, and they would come up to me as a kid and they would say, "How is your mom? Your mom is the best mom ever.
Aww.
She's fantastic.
Wow.
Tell her I said hi."
That's so sweet.
What was it about you and your behaviors as a mother that they were witnessing and that made them say those things?
That's so nice to hear. And I think that that's what most mothers, what most parents live for, is to know that they are perceived as having done a good job. But you know why I think people say that? Because of you and Brody. Because you guys are so amazing. You've turned out to be such exemplary human beings in so many ways. And I think that is a result not only of good parenting, but of who you are intrinsically.
You know, we had an interesting upbringing in the sense that we had different male figures throughout our lives, right? My dad when we were very young, and then when I was 4 or 5,
Very
David
young.
came into the mix, right?
Yeah.
Very, very young. And then David came into the mix, and David was very consistent throughout most of our childhood, but definitely also very career driven, right? We were stepkids, and he's a very career based guy and
Sure.
very passionate about that, so busy. And then we had a lot of Mannies, but we had all these guys that were a part of our lives that kind of were these male role models as well, right? I've only really had one female, and that's my mother.
I enjoyed being with you guys. I really wanted to be a consistent parent. And like when I was working doing Hee Haw or any other shows that I did, I would take you to Nashville with me twice a year.
Yeah.
But you also grew up at the feet of people like Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson and Dolly Parton and all these, Waylon Jennings, all these people that came on to Hee Haw, and you guys would sit there at the camera and watch them and sing along, and
Yeah.
so you grew up with that musical influence. So I think that's one thing that my friends observed and people observed, that you were always with me. I was always with you guys. I was consistently in your life.
You know, I definitely have this bluegrass, Grand Ole Opry root foundation when it comes to music and the things that I'm drawn towards. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that had to do with Hee Haw in the
Probably,
beginning, you
yeah.
know?
And even the lyrics that you write are very sensitive in their storytelling, and country music has that. So that was a really wonderful experience
Well,
for you.
it's one thing that I'm really grateful for in my upbringing is the fact that I got to be a wallflower in the studio. I mean, I was a kid, like I would love to go sit down on there on the comfy couch and just watch the process. It was so cool. I mean, I still remember David at his little, he was running that 48 track, and he had that little machine down comping vocals, and he would just sit there. Take 3. It was cutting edge in its day, but it's
Yeah.
archaic now. So
I just remember watching and listening sometimes and going, okay.
I loved the process,
Yeah.
of discovering new talent, but being in the studio was the coolest thing for me.
And Brandon, it's changed so much from, the early days when Elvis, for instance, was recording. Talk about organic. And that would be the studio musicians would be lined up, all playing live.
Yeah.
And there was not comping like
A lot of time,
David
one
did.
microphone.
Yeah.
It was just a
Oh,
balance. It was vocalists, get this
100%.
close, listen to it. Yeah, it's a good amount of vocal.
Yeah.
Stay there, mark the floor.
Exactly.
Imagine what it would have cost for, a 17-year-old kid that had a great voice that was shy, and to try to get a recording like back in the Elvis days.
Right.
And these days, you can have some kid that just buys a little
It's
used
amazing.
laptop.
Well, you incorporate a lot of novel things too in your music making. Some of the little instruments that are just you might get in your kitchen. It's just short of a washboard.
I play a lot of weird stuff in here.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
What does most of your inspiration come from? Like 'cause when you write, it seems, just as an observer, it seems like you're so empathetic and attuned to the world and to the happenings in the world that you take everything to heart. So I feel like that's where you get a lot of your inspiration for your writing.
Yeah, sometimes it's my own selfish pain, like the pain that I'm going through, but a lot of the times it's being inspired by something that somebody else is going through and trying to connect with what that must be like.
Yeah.
Sometimes in tragedy like that, there's so much opportunity for beauty.
It's what makes life so valuable, because it is finite. It's a fleeting thing, and we have no idea when it will end. So it just makes it so much more valuable because of its fragility and its impermanence, as you say. So some of my most gratifying moments in songwriting has been like To Where You Are, the song that Josh Groban's first hit. And it's about someone who's passed on, and Fly Me Up to Where You Are, Beyond Each Distant Star. I wish upon tonight to see you smile, if only for a while, to know you're there, a breath away's not far to where you are, which also links life to death. One breath, we're one heartbeat and one breath away from the other side.
Yeah.
Truly, I think to be a great lyricist, to be a great songwriter, you have to be empathetic. You have to actually take that emotion into your own heart, into your own being, so you can express their feelings for them. Sometimes it's the ineffable for a lot of people. They can't quite express what they're feeling. So that's the beautiful thing about music is it can express for other people what they're
Yes.
feeling.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And that, is part of what my journey in music is. I mean, that's the reason why I do it.
I think that that we have to find our own purpose in life. Why are we here? And I think it's personal for everyone, but I think the overall picture is that we're here to assist other people and to make other people's lives easier.
Well, there you go.
And to be the best human being that we can be, the best expression of life that we can be.
The only thing we really leave behind when we're gone is the way that we've made other people feel.
Right. Well, there's that saying that I've read recently. It says, one day you'll just be a memory to people. Try to be a good one.
The thing is that sometimes you see something and it feels irresponsible to sit with that pain and just let it pass through you without pouring it into the thing that has always been really therapeutic for me, which is writing a song.
It's a connection. Music is such a connector. And that's, again, back to the purpose of why we're here, to connect with each other, to be there for each other, to feel another person's heart and pain and joy and soul. I think that's so important.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good note to end on. I think that we've covered a lot.
I'm just getting started.
I know.
So much to say.
I got to cut her off before it gets, yeah. Well, anyway, that was lovely. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you,
very much for chatting.
Thank you. I
do
enjoyed
appreciate it. I'm sure it will always be entertaining whenever you sit down with your mom. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. And we'll see you soon. Bye. Thanks for watching the whole video. Bye.